Although Africa seems as an all-around poorly developed continent due to mass amounts of poverty and war, tourism has been heavily relied on to develop the economy and produce revenue for certain countries such as Egypt, South Africa, Morocco, and Tunisia. Africa has many unique things to offer, such as its antiquities, pyramids, safaris, deserts, jungles, cities, and distinct landscape. These attractions bring tourism to different countries and can help the economy, but other countries are in mass poverty and war and receive little to no tourism, so based on what certain countries geographically have to offer determines the amount of tourism and economical development. Some of the places that tourism is most common is in the countries of Egypt, South Africa, Morocco, and Tunisia. Some of the countries found the least in are Chad, Zimbabwe, and Sierra Leone. According to World of Data, South Africa accounted for 8.1 million tourists in 2011, Egypt accounted for 11 million tourists in 2011, Tunisia accounted for 6 million tourists in 2011, and Morocco accounted for 8 million tourists in 2011. These four countries have stable economies and are able to host tourists compared to Chad, Zimbabwe, and Sierra Leone, which don't provide stable tourist infrastructure and contain very high poverty rates. With an increase in tourism comes an increase in demand for jobs. As more tourists continue to flood into Africa comes a need for certain jobs such as hotel accommodation, food and beverages, shopping, entertainment, transport, etc. This in turn generates huge amounts of revenue that can be helpful for the economy and protection of natural resources, attractions, and wildlife. The increase in jobs provides great opportunities for local Africans to support themselves and their families. Several countries are working on developing new ways to attract more tourists, such as sport bird shooting in Kenya and opening of paleontology sites in Ethiopia. According to World Bank, the number of tourists that have visited Africa has grown by 300% since 1990, with 33.8 million tourists in 2012. The countries that don't attract tourists, such as Zimbabwe, Chad, and Sierra Leone, often have a poor government and high poverty rates. For example, according to Culturegram, Zimbabwe has a 72.3% poverty rate and a 98% inflation rate. Along with poverty comes illness such as HIV and AIDS that is very common, with 18% of Zimbabwe's population infected with it. Also, according to UNDP, 60% of Sierra Leone's population lives below the poverty line and 70% of the population is unemployed. Tourists could also be subject to armed conflict. For example, in Chad, there are many differences in religion and ethnicity, along with disputes over resources that have led to war. These three countries all contain some sort of war, poverty, illness, or poor government that turns tourists away from visiting. Ecotourism is tourism that is directed towards exotic, often threatening natural environments to support and observe wildlife. Some major areas for ecotourism are Tanzania, Kenya, and Madagascar. These three countries are known for their unique safaris, wildlife, jungles, and landscape. According to EO Earth, ecotourism accounted for 20% of Africa's total international tourism. Ecotourism benefits the economy by contributing revenue gained from tourists from things such as accommodations, entrance fees, and concessions. Also, since ecotourism is common in local communities, the tourist money can benefit local people. The money can also help maintain the security and protection of natural environment and wildlife. Overcrowding, misuse of natural resources, and construction of building and infrastructure can be devastating to the natural environment. Also, the overcrowding of people can lead to pollution, which has very bad impacts on soil, water, wildlife, landscape, and environment. This is why money is very important in keeping natural environment protected. Tourism and ecotourism provides great opportunities for Africa to expand its economy and be known as a well-developed country.